to the channel. So I promised you a Buffy video and here it is. Buffy the Vampire Slayer turned 20 this weekend. Can you believe it? I feel so old knowing that. It seems like only yesterday that I would run home every Thursday to be back in time for 6:45 to watch Buffy on BBC Two. I watched it every single week all the way through till season 3 ended when Buffy moved over to Sky, just as my dad decided to get rid of Sky. Great timing, Dad! Luckily, I had a great BFF, Leah, thank you, who invited me around to her house every week instead. And so from the beginning of season 4, I would get there every Thursday at 7 o'clock. We would watch WWF together with our friends Hannah and Will. And then at 8 o'clock, Buffy would begin. And at 9 o'clock, the brand new Angel would start too. And that was our new tradition. And we did that every single week, all the way through to the end of season 7. We would eat junk food, mostly really weirdly Marmite on toast, which Leah put way too much of on. By the way, Leah, not that much Marmite. I like it, but not that much. I don't know why I remember that, but I do. Anyway, we used to have so much fun watching Buffy, and it played a huge part in making me the person I am today. Buffy taught me that it was okay to fall in love with whoever you loved, whether that be a girl or a boy or even a demon. There are some demons out there, believe me. I realised I liked people and not gender whilst watching Buffy when I first fell for the character of Willow when I was only 9 years old, actually. It taught me that that was alright though. I didn't really know anybody else that liked anyone other than the gender they were supposed to. I lived in North Devon, in a small sleepy town, or village actually, called Braunton, and it was very, I would say, sheltered, and we were just, you know, boys liked girls and girls liked boys, and that was it. But I saw Willow and I don't know, something clicked. I just really was drawn to her. And obviously Willow doesn't actually come out as a lesbian until much later on in season 4, and even before that I just knew there was something about her that I was drawn to. And when she did come out and we finally see her being her, I realised that I was okay, and no matter what I did or who I loved, that was alright. And Buffy was a huge part in me accepting who I am and being okay with it. And I think I'm not alone in that as well. I think Willow and Tara were the first lesbian kiss on TV, or national TV anyway at the time, and it made a huge impact on the community, and it gave us a voice, I guess. But it made a difference to me personally anyway, and I am very grateful to the show for that. And not only for sort of sexuality, but also for women. Buffy was all about girl power. It was an era where Spice Girls were around and girls were realising that actually we're a force to be reckoned with. You know, I don't know, when I was a little girl, there was nothing around telling us that girls were powerful, and then Buffy came out when I was sort of just turning 9, and it showed me that we can kick butt. You know, there was just nothing else like it, and it was one of the best shows that has ever existed and probably will ever existed. So in honour of your 20th birthday, Buffy, this is my top 5 Buffy the Vampire Slayer episodes. Starting off with number 5 is Tabula Rasa, episode 8 of season 6, written by David Grossman and directed by Rebecca Rand Krishna. It first aired in November on the 13th in 2001. The episode was straight up hilarious. I mean, Randy Giles, stroke of genius. For those of you who don't know what happened in the episode, basically Tara had an argument with Willow about her using too much magic, and so in stupid Willow style, she decides that she's going to use more magic to try and fix the situation because Tara's really stressed with her and she wants that to stop. So she tries to do a memory spell on her. It backfires. The memory spell hits everybody in the magic box where they all hung out, and everybody loses their memory. During this time, Spike had come to the magic box to hide from a loan shark vampire, and was dressed up in a disguise, and it was tweed, and he looked like the most stereotypical British person ever, and inside this jacket it said the word Randy, and so when he woke up he thought that was his name, and he had this obviously British accent, and so did Giles, and he ended up thinking that he was Giles' son, and so he was Randy Giles. And it was just really funny. They had this really lovely relationship in that episode of sort of weird, strange bonding. Spike just owned that episode for me. He was absolutely hilarious. But other than them, there was Xander and Willow almost having this relationship spark until Tara draws Willow to her just through her beauty and her, I don't know, intensity, I guess, and her true love and her true feelings come out. During the time that they're all in Amnesia Land, the Lone Shark vampire attacks and everybody screams and is scared and don't know what to do because what are vampires? But basically the episode's absolutely hilarious, and it provided some light relief that series really needed, because it was the time where Buffy had died, she'd come back to life, she thought the world was really basically hell because she'd been in heaven, and the whole series was really dark and angsty, and this episode came kind of midway through and was exactly what we needed at the time. And that's why it gets the number 5 slot. It was perfectly pitched at perfect timing and was just absolutely hilarious. So tabula rasa, number 5. In at number 4, we have episode 6 of season 2, Halloween, written by Bruce Seth Green. Coincidence, and directed by Carl Ellsworth. It first aired on October the 27th in 1997. Halloween has always been one of my favourite times of year. It's just after my birthday, and so I really love it anyway. And in an episode where the Halloween costumes are cursed by Ethan Rayne, Giles' longtime sort of frenemy nemesis guy, and when people put on these costumes on Halloween, they turn it into the persona of whatever that costume is. So Xander is wearing like a G.I. Joe army outfit, and he thinks he's then actually an army man, and his gun becomes real, and he like knows what to do and has all his code words and can get access into an army base to get weapons. Buffy hilariously wants to become the type of girl that Angel would have loved back in the time when he was really a teenager, and so her costume is this ridiculous noblewoman's outfit, like a corset dress with a big boofy bottom, and she has this long dark wig, and she turns into this ridiculous damsel in distress character, and it has the exact opposite effect on Angel. He's like, oh, what are you? It's really funny, and the real reason why I love this episode is that it's actually a coming of age story for Willow. We see her go from the shy, lacking self-confident character that we meet at the beginning of episode 1 of Buffy, to the beginning of her becoming this fierce independent woman that she is by the end of the show. And we see this metaphorically in the fact that the costume she originally goes for is just this white sheet to become a ghost. But the costume that she ends up wearing is this ridiculously sexy, intense rocker chick type outfit that reflects actually the fire and the passion that she has inside of her. And we see the fact that at the end of the show, she realises that actually is who she is by the fact that she doesn't put this chic ghost costume back on when everybody can see her. She stays kicking ass, basically. And it's just really cool. It's so nice to see her taking that step to becoming who she is, and it's also the first episode where her and Oz really begin their relationship, and everybody notices Willow, not just Willow, but Willow. And if you're a fan, you'll know what I mean by that. But basically, it's one of the best episodes of the entire show, and it's light relief, and it's just funny. It's just funny, guys. That's why it gets number 4. In at number 3, we have episode 20 of season 3, and that is The Prom. Written by David Solomon and directed by the legendary Marty Noxon. It aired on the 11th of May in 1999. Season 3 was a killer season for Buffy, and there is another entry coming up next, actually, from this season. But basically, this episode is in this list really for one reason: the moment at the end of the show, or near the end of the show. Buffy gets to be a normal teenage girl for the first time in what feels like forever for her. She's gone through some pretty dramatic stuff this season and last season, and she's just found out that the love of her life is going to be leaving after they fight the big bad this year. And she's going through that kind of alone. No one else can really understand the bond that she's had with Angel and what it means, and knowing what she has to face and knowing what she has to do without him is huge for her. So when she goes to the prom and Angel turns up and they get to just be for just one night. It's just magical. They have their dance to Wild Horses, and it's the Sundays version of this song, and it's beautiful. And I cry every time, every single time. And then Buffy wins an award, which is just magical. It turns out that the guys in her class and the rest of her year at Sunnydale High have been noticing what she's done for them, and do realise that she's saved them more times than they can count, probably. And so they award her with Class Protector, and they give her this golden umbrella, and it's just such a wonderful moment. And when she turns around in her beautiful pink dress and she has her golden umbrella, and Angel's there and Giles is there and everybody she loves is there, it's just wonderful. And I'll never forget that moment. And every time I hear that song, no matter who sings it, it just brings me back to that. And that's a sign of good music in a show, because it'll never go for me. That it's just beautiful, and that's why this gets number 3. So number 2. Now, there was a lot of deliberation between what was going to be number 1 and number 2. The episode that has made number 2, I've long said is actually my favourite episode of Buffy, but when it came down to it and I really had to think about it, I had to put it in number 2. It doesn't make it any less amazing, because it really is, but number 1 just beat it to the post for one reason, and I'll tell you what that is in a minute. So without further ado, number 2 is episode 5 of season 3, and it's Homecoming, written by David Greenwalt and also directed by him. It aired on November the 3rd in 1998. Buffy was dumped by Scott at the beginning of this episode, and probably none of you remember who Scott is, but he was her kind of I can get over Angel boyfriend. Slap bang in the middle of her getting over Angel, Angel comes back from the dead. Buffy places her cladder ring, there you go, in the place where he died, and he drops out of hell, and he's a ruined man. And at the beginning of this episode, Buffy has been helping him. He's in his mansion, hidden from everybody else. No one knows he's there, and she's kind of going through turmoil, and it's hidden from her. So when she goes to school the next day, and Cordelia is there making her feel about this big, she snaps and decides that she's going to run against Cordelia for Homecoming Queen. That brings about hilarity as the two go on this campaign trail of war to try and win it, and all of their friends feel really uncomfortable because they've all got to go to prom together, and Buffy and Cordelia are making them choose sides. So Buffy and Cordelia are at war, and the kids and their friends decide they're going to play a trick on them, and instead of Faith and Xander and Willow going in the prom car with them, they leave Cordelia and Buffy on their own. Now, separate to this storyline, a bunch of demons turn up, led by Trick and his employer, and Trick plays a huge part in season 3 later on, but at this point he's just a random demon guy, and he sets up this thing called Slayer Fest 98, which is like a game show to kill the Slayers. They think they're going to get Faith and Buffy, but instead they mistake Cordelia for Faith, and so Cordelia and Buffy are out in the woods being chased by all these demons while everyone else is at prom. They go through this mental night in the woods, running away, and are actually becoming quite close throughout it, and then they actually eventually end up back at the homecoming. And in the meantime, Xander and Willow are getting ready together, and they come out from where they're getting changed, and they see each other from across the room, and this moment is the reason why I love this episode. So bear with me, guys, because I know Willow is gay, alright? I know she's gay, but the 11-year-old me, who was utterly in love with Willow, really wanted her to be happy, and I thought her being happy was her and Xander, and I really shipped them. So at this moment, when they walk across the room and they see each other, and he thinks she looks beautiful and he thinks he's so handsome, and they kiss, finally, after 3 seasons they kiss. My 11-year-old heart just melted, and it still melts every time I see that. It was so cute, and their romance led to some amazing stories that season. I mean, band candy happened that season, and also it also led on to when Cordelia's trying to get revenge, and she has a wish with Anya, and then they are transported into this ultimate dimension where Buffy never came to Sunnydale, and we see Vampire Willow, who is crazy sexy, and Vampire Xander as well. that all comes from this romance, and it all begins in this episode, and it gives us some of the most fun episodes of the entire show. So Homecoming will always be in my top 2 episodes. I will always love it, and it has a very special place in my heart. So number one, unsurprisingly, is episode 22 of season 5, The Gift. Written and directed by Sir Joss Whedon himself. And no, I know he's not a Sir, but he should be. It first aired on my darling Nan's birthday in 2001, May the 22nd. And it just has to be number 1. It is one of the most beautiful finales of any season of any show. Buffy had a lot of kick-ass finales, and for this one to take the cake, it had to have been pretty special. Now, no season was as controversial as season 5 was of Buffy. Suddenly she had this sister, a sister who many fans took an immediate dislike to, but none can deny the honesty and beauty in Buffy and Dawn's relationship. By the end of the season, we've seen them bicker and fight like normal sisters, to realising that actually they're not related and Dawn may not even be real, to them then deciding that actually the bond that they feel for each other is more important than any facts that they're being told, and that becoming their truth and their now. And that was just a really magical moment for family. It was really beautiful. The season culminates in Glory attempting to open a breach, which she actually does succeed in using using Dawn's blood as the key to open it. Buffy soon realises that her blood and Dawn's blood are the same thing, and so she realises that she can save the world by using her blood. And after the most beautiful speech to her sister, Buffy kills herself.
Don, listen to me. Listen. I love you. I will always love you. This is the work that I have to do.
In what is the series' most beautiful and heart-wrenching finale, we see Buffy hit the floor as her friends move around and see her, and we then pan out and see her grave. And at this time, we as the fans didn't know there was going to be another season. There was a lot of turmoil in the UPN and WB channels all changing and merging and eventually becoming the CW, I think. I'm not American, so I don't really know what your channels do, but that's what I can make of it anyway. And so we didn't know there was going to be another series, and we thought, oh my gosh, is Buffy dead? What's happening? And it was utterly destroying. And for that sort of visceral response that I and many other fans had, it has to be number 1 for me. The Gift had one of the most amazing scores I have ever heard, and I believe that was written by Christoph Beck, the guy who wrote the music for the Becoming episodes. So those are my top 5 Buffy episodes. Hit me up in the comments and let me know which are your top 5. Also let me know which ones you didn't like. I think you might have noticed I excluded season 4 from this list. I didn't like much of season 4. It wasn't Riley's fault. I like Riley, give the guy a break. But I just didn't like the season. I didn't like the initiative. So let me know what you like, what you didn't like. If you're not already, please subscribe to the channel and give me a like. It really helps me out. I will be creating a lot more videos like this and doing a lot more Let's Plays currently of Horizon Zero Dawn. So do check them out. Thank you for watching, guys, and I will see you very soon.